Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Getting right off the bat, it's been a crazy week for patch 3.2. I just want to do a few special shoutouts. First, videos. Obviously, I had plenty of videos from the last week. We did all of Alexander Normal, we had Sephiroth Extreme, we had the 2 new dungeons, and I'm working on a few other videos regarding some of the other features that were added, including the Hall of the Novice, its rewards, trying to promote new players to do it, because it's honestly one of the best tools they've added in for new players ever. It completely blows skill tests out of the water. So enjoy some of these videos right here in case you haven't checked them out yet. Good luck if you're pigeon farming, because we did a bunch of Bismarck farming today for Sub Sunday and we did not get a single one. On that note, I want to thank those of you again. I do these thank you videos pretty often, or I at least mention thanking people. But hey, if I gotta say thank you, I gotta say thank you, right? It's like, I'm not gonna be like, nah, I don't need to say thank you, I just said it last week. No, of course I'm gonna say thank you whenever something awesome happens. So, a lot of you know I gave up the World Progression Race to stream for patch 3.2, to make content for 3.2, without delaying it weeks and weeks and weeks. And also, it wasn't fair to my raid team, who has been doing very well with the new Ninja. I still feel like we'd be doing just as well with me. But that's besides the point. They're doing well with the new Ninja. I'm helping them when they need me to with the strategies behind the scenes. And, I've managed to get almost 100 subs on Twitch, which I know on YouTube it sounds like, oh, 100 subs, whatever, but YouTube subs are different than Twitch subs. Twitch subs are people who are, paying $5 a month to support the stream. They get access to subscriber emotes, sub-only Discord. They get access to 5 times a chance to win on non-sponsored giveaways. We've had a special the last couple of days where brand new subs were winning free games off of Gaming for Good, which is another thing I'll be talking about here in a second, and I'll probably make a standalone video for that as well. On top of that, there's been a huge outcry of support regarding patch 3.2. Tons of people coming by the stream, new people, new regulars. It's been great, and it makes me feel like I made the right decision. So thank you, those of you who have been supporting me. We're working our way to 1,000 subs on Twitch. Any one of you who can come by the Twitch and show that support, we are working on. We'll get new sub emotes. I'll have to dye my hair. It's going to be crazy. So, and apparently I'll have to wear a onesie. You know how I did like the Happy Amy thing? Apparently I've got sucked into doing a onesie as well. So, plenty of things going on. Hopefully you guys can come by the stream and enjoy it. This Wednesday we will be playing Blade and Soul, the new class. Warlock is coming out over here in the West. On top of that, some new dungeons. There's going to be a new contest, and I'm going to be doing some more sponsored Blade and Soul stuff. Ooh, scary. Oh, sponsored. Oh no. He does sponsored stuff. He doesn't actually like those games. Hey, I actually like Blade and Soul. That's why I did that, and that's why I'm not doing Black Desert, even though Mel went out of her way to get me a lot of Black Desert codes, and then I said I didn't like it in front of 900 people and gave away all 40 codes right away. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to try to get any more of these. I don't really like this game. So, yeah, we're going to be having some more sponsored Blade and Soul videos, some more sponsored Blade and Soul streams. On top of that, I went and got to hang out at the NCSoft office last week. We're also working on some special events for Final Fantasy XIV as well, so don't worry. Plenty of things coming down the pipeline for both Blade and Soul and Final Fantasy XIV. On that note, one more thing I want to tell you all about real quick. I know I haven't gotten any questions yet, although there's not really a whole lot of questions this week. We've been doing an emergency charity fund for the Ethiopian drought relief via the Save the Children Foundation. A lot of you guys don't know this. I got my start, along with Mel, here doing charity on Twitch and making small videos on YouTube. But the big thing that was a catalyst to the channels becoming as successful as they were was Athene Live, who I was doing charity streams for overnight. We raised over $10,000 with him. And he's just one of the people. So when he asked me to do this, I said yes. And we've already raised over $1,200 for the Ethiopian Drought Relief Fund. People have been winning games because of this event, been getting points. They've been buying games, Goat Simulator, Guild Wars 2, Trying to, tons of games. So check out the donation link under the stream. Just keep in mind that when you go to donate by default, there's a slider that has it set to 75% goes to charity and 25% goes to me. If you don't want that, you need to choose where my donation goes, and slide it all the way to the Save the Children Foundation. Just letting you guys know so that way you don't put money in my pocket when you're trying to put money in the children's pocket. Anyway, if you have any questions, be sure to come by the live stream for that one. On that note, let's get into the questions. Alright, first question. Yo, Haps, not my first time asking, but in celebration of the new patch, have a lore tombstone. As in, one. Thanks. I needed that on my alt. Anyway, when it first came out, what were the queues for Wolves Den like? Will the feast be good or bad? The queues for Wolves Den were instant, pretty much, when it first came out. Feast will probably be the same. Feast is going to be pretty popular because there's no Grand Company restriction. That aspect of the Wolves Den was enjoyed. I think the Feast will be a lot more enjoyable in general, though, because it's not waiting 3 minutes in queue to wait 2 minutes before the match starts to end the match in 1 minute, which a lot of people didn't like about the Wolves Den. And frontlines queues are, if you're queuing at like prime time, the queues are usually pretty short, at least on the Ether data center for frontline. So definitely keep that in mind if you're playing on off hours. It makes the frontline queues a lot longer. Feast queues should in general be shorter because there's less people involved. There's no grand company restrictions. It should just overall be better, way better than the Wolf's Den. All right, next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. How are you doing today? Read till bottom spoiler. Ooh, there's a spoiler. If I see the spoiler, I'll be sure to do something. Well, luckily, you can't see it on the screen. I'm doing good today. Hopefully, you're doing good as well. Second question. Oh, okay, the first question was, how was I doing? Okay. For someone who doesn't have a static, I've yet to clear A3 to A3 and Thornton EX. Wait, you mean A3, A4, and Thornton EX. Okay. I feel like I'm falling behind. There's no falling behind because you don't need to beat A3 or A4 Savage in order to get to Midas Savage. Don't worry about that. Thornton, also, you don't need to get to Sephiroth, so you're not really falling behind. Should I go ahead and make money for clear before it gets nerfed or anything? I've done everything before that, before nerf. I would say just keep looking for a group. I don't really think you need to do anything else special. Fifth question. Damn, you're actually counting every question mark. Are you aiming for diamond rank in PvP? I don't think I'm a diamond tier player. What I would like to do, though, is promote diamond tier players, because that's going to be a new facet for people to gain popularity within the community, is being a diamond ranked feast player. I would like to help further that. If they give us the spectator tools quickly enough, I'd like to host tournaments, and I'd like to invite the diamond tier players from the Ether data center to come out. Hopefully we can arrange stuff for other data centers as well. And we can make this a real big community thing. I know not everybody likes PvP, but sometimes you just don't even have to like PvP. You just have to like watching people compete. Now, I think that people like Final Fantasy XIV enough in order to enjoy that, and I want to see diamond ranked PvPers be a little bit more prevalent inside of the community. Fourth question. Thank you for your video. Made me a very quick learner and a better player. Bonus of the day. Here's a screenshot of my great vision of Savage. Oh, man. Wait a minute. Oh, I've seen this happen before. I remember Vid had this happen where the boss split down the middle. You guys can kind of see it if I scroll through. Living Liquid and the Tornado are both here. He had that happen where there were two living liquids on the screen. I've seen this happen before. It's really weird when it does happen, but luckily, it doesn't actually affect your ability to complete the fight. But it just, you gotta reset when something like this happens, otherwise it's just weird as hell. Next question. Hi, Happy. Omarion here. Hey, have an ice cream sandwich bonus. You, sir, are God. I've got a non-14 question. Hey, those are welcome here. A lot of people forget that, and I have a Slurpee. What kind of tips can you give me in regards of producing gaming content? Mainly, I got discouraged because I'm a Latino and the Spanish streaming community is very small. I want to do it really bad, like it's itching me for years, but I don't want to waste my time in an Empress or investment that seemed like a dead end. So here's what I would say. Just do it, but don't do it in a sense where it's like, oh, I want to make it my big thing and I want to become huge in the gaming industry like this. No, you do it because you want to have fun. It doesn't matter if the Spanish gaming community is small. Make it bigger. You can't wait for somebody else to go make it bigger. You got to make it bigger. You can't leave that job to somebody else. You got to do that job. Always believe that you got to be responsible for adding a new facet to the gaming community, to Twitch streaming. Don't wait for somebody else to set the example. Always be the one trying to be on the forefront of content creation and on community building. But don't go in thinking it's going to be your career. That would be my number one advice. Keep to your normal life and do this on the side. If you really, really want to do it, that should be all that matters. Do you think dual language stream videos is a viable alternative to this niche? Yes, a lot of people ask me why I don't have alternative languages to my videos. And some people have offered to do alternative languages, but it's so much work and I can't reimburse them that it feels bad to have them do that. I know some people just want the translation thing, but it's so hard to just take free work. I'm so not good at that. And do you think sticking to your main games are more wise or more popular competitive ones? I mainly play Final Fantasy, Blade, and Soul, Hearthstone. I would hate to the mainstream game just to get the viewers. You play what you like. I mean, Final Fantasy is not the biggest game, but I'm doing well in it. That being said, it is a small game by comparison to a lot of other games, especially when it comes to live streaming. That's definitely a tough end to get a lot of viewers when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV, because it's not always terribly interesting to watch. That's why I've really had to add value to myself as the broadcaster that people watch, or at least I've had to try to do that. But you gotta play what you enjoy and build your community from there. Eventually, you build what's called a core community, and that core community will watch you regardless of what you play. They'll at least lurk in your stream or in your videos and whatnot. And that core community helps build confidence, and it helps let you know, hey, no, you can do this. I'm not going to force you to play one game. I want to see you play other games, and that's what feels good. That's at least in my opinion. Hopefully, you have a good week as well, my man. All right, next question. Hey, Hap. Hi. The topic of numbering mobs and tanks frustration with DPS is often discussed. I'm a tank that IMO, a tank that numbers mobs, is not a very good tank. I've leveled all 3 tank jobs to 60, and I never number mobs. As long as the fellow DPS allow me to go in first, I will almost never lose aggro. Also, if I do happen to lose aggro, the mob is so close to death, at that point it won't matter. If the DPS go in first, then it's free for all, so fuck them. If you are tanking in a dungeon, all you have to do is rotate mobs. When you see a mob with HP lower than the others, just focus that mob. Let the DPS do whatever it takes to maximize damage output, and tank adjust accordingly. I think tanks who resort to numbering trash mobs and complain are terrible tanks. What do you think? If a player numbers trash mobs, he sure as hell isn't getting commendation from me. Tanks get AoE skills at level 12 and 3rd tier enemy skills at 30. They get it at 26, first of all. And what is the deal? So, I think you have a very jaded view of the way that it works. You're letting your group dictate to you your pace. As a tank, I feel it's your responsibility to dictate to your group what the pace will be. And numbering mobs can be a way of dealing with that. On top of that, it can also say, hey, sometimes you just want to number mobs so people know, hey, this mob is more threatening than the other mobs in the group. It's not a reason to only focus on that target. Like if a tank loses aggro on targets 2 and 3, they're doing something wrong. They shouldn't complain that they lost aggro on 2 and 3 because there were people DPSing 2 or 3. Multi-dotting is a normal thing. AoEing is a normal thing. So that's a bad excuse. Numbering mobs, however, can add clarity to your group, and it can show that you're somebody who's willing to take the reins. You're willing to make the calls and say, hey, this is what we're doing. If you guys are going to AoE, great. If you're not, fight this target first. That's the target that needs to die most, and that's a target that you guys should be focusing on. Sometimes it's a good etiquette to teach that. There's nothing wrong with numbering mobs, and honestly, I find those tanks to be the better tanks because it shows they are willing to take the reins. They're not willing to let their group dictate, oh, the DPS is attacking a different target, I'll just attack that target while they're targeting it. No, they're supposed to be following you. You're the tank. They're supposed to follow you. You're not supposed to have to make up for their mistakes. So it should be your job to take the reins and tell them these are the targets we're attacking in this order. If you just say just AoE everything, go ahead. Don't mark anything. There's no, both ways are correct. It's just, I think it's jaded to say that a tank that marks is not a good tank. I don't think that's correct at all. Next question. Aw, sorry. Saw too much JoJo's Bizarre Adventures perhaps. Get it? Well, don't you love how they slowly remove all the clunkiness out of 14? Yes, they do, and it feels good. But it is my question about that. What do you think needs to get fixed in 14 desperately? Ooh, very good question. So, Chocobo in duties, please. That's number 1. That's not really a desperate thing. Positional check still. Being a melee DPS and chasing a mob makes me feel like shit. I think that's the number 1 thing. That still kind of sucks. It's like, oh, and when the feast comes out, you could be damn well sure there's going to be forum threads about it. Like, oh, yeah, this is bullshit. I'm chasing someone. I'm in melee range on my screen, but they're technically not in my range. And then it's annoying. That's the number 1 thing I think. If 14 could somehow get that positional check down, so that way, when you execute a skill, it finishes. You can't lose sight of the enemy mid-fucking instant cast weapon skill. You know what I mean? That's the number 1 thing I think 14 still needs to fix. Next question. Hello, mister. Important question. Would you prefer ketchup Doritos or zesty cheese Doritos? Ketchup Doritos? What the fuck? That's gross as shit. Zesty cheese. How is this even a question? Go get your fucking zesty cheese right now. Don't you dare buy the ketchup Doritos. Next question. Alright, Haps. 5 minutes ago, watching episode 80, you told us Elysium was getting the world first for Midas Savage. Since you're in the future now, you're going to tell us if you were right. So far, 5, 6, and 7 are all Elysium world first. I told you they were going to get it. But more than that, I just wanted to ask Future Happy what he thinks of the Midas race in general. I think it might be over already in the time you come from, but either way, it's almost done. They're on A8 Savage right now. But either way, what's your opinion on this rater as a whole and the people clearing it? Were the fights too easy or hard? Are we seeing a new era in terms of the big names of rating now that so many teams have retired or changed? Whatever you have to say about it, lay it on us. Gift us with your future wisdom. Also, on an unrelated note, what program would you recommend for ninjas for rating these days? Ping Zapper or What the Fast have both been pretty iffy. What the Fast has always worked best for me. I've been using Battle Ping lately. It doesn't work as well as What the Fast, but it's consistent as long as you are a premium member. So, this is probably... So a lot of people remember I praised A3 Savage. The fights I've praised the most in this game are Thornton Extreme, A3 Savage, Turn 9 Savage. Those are the 3 fights that I have ranked, like, pretty much right at the top. That being said, I'm willing to change that entire list for almost every fight in this match. Sephiroth Extreme, I don't think he's as good as Thornton, but in terms of Extreme Primals, he's top 2. He's right behind Thornton Extreme in terms of encounter design, in my opinion. A5 Savage, very unique, very interesting. It's gimmicky without being too gimmicky. A6 Savage is a fucking phenomenal fight. It's incredibly frustrating. It is one of the most frustrating fights in the patch, but it is just phenomenally done, and it is interesting, and it is different from the normal mode in many different ways. A7 Savage is now, in my opinion, the best fight they've ever made. That's without seeing A8 Savage. I have not seen A8 Savage. But A7 Savage, I rank above A3 Savage in terms of just being a well-made fight. Everything about the fight is just, it's crafted so well. All the fights this patch have been, it feels like they said, let's go back to the drawing board. And the last time I saw fights that were this interesting was when Second Coil came out. The initial Second Coil patch. And Final Coil also had some, like, dungeon bosses that were interesting. Like, 2.4 and 2.5 had some, like, easy bosses that were interesting, but weren't very difficult. These are interesting and difficult, but they're not so overly difficult that I see people hitting the wall like they did with A3 Savage, and that's beautiful. From what I've seen of the groups of Elysium that have been cleared, they've all been thrilled and ecstatic with these fights. They have been loving the challenge, they've been loving the variety, and they have been loving the mechanics. And I can't wait to get in there and do it myself. So I'll let you know how I feel after I've done it, but I've seen 5, 6, and 7 through to completion, and I think that they are all very much better than Gordius Savage. Alright, next question. Suphaps, have a happening happy Windu doll as a... What? Okay. This question might be considered long and has a small story, so I put a TLDR at the bottom. Let me read the TL... Oh, it's not that long. Let me just read the TLDR. Friend in game group is overly aggressive with games half the time. Do you have any advice for approaching this issue? Just let him know he's being... Don't say, dude, you're being a fucking dick. Don't do that. Just be like, dude, we understand that you're really serious, but, dude, like, it's too much for us. Like, don't say that he's an asshole, he needs to, then he needs to just tone it down. Don't use any language. Just be like, dude, we understand that, like, you love to be competitive and you're very passionate about this stuff. It's just... It's too much for us, and sometimes it's hard to put up with. That's the best way you can really do to approach it. There's no nice way. This is one of those things where there's no nice way to bring the person back down to your level, but that's the best you can do, is just try to approach it with mature language. That's the best way I could say to approach it. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, I forgot to put a bonus on my first post, even though it didn't get to the video, so here's a bonus of a male Roganin retainer with clothes. Why with clothes? Anyway, to the question, more like wanting an opinion. Since Paladin and Dark Knight got so much needed TP changes, do you think a 4.0 Square could add something to each tank to really make them different from each other? I understand what you're going with here. Homogenization has always been a word that's been passed around since Heaven's Ward came out. Even since A Realm Reborn was a thing. Like, it was homogenized, but Heaven's Ward really brought a lot of them closer together in terms of what they were capable of. Warrior, as you point out, is already in a great spot. Their niche is filled. Warrior is probably one of the greatest executions of jobs in the game, alongside Scholar, in my opinion. But I don't know. See, I don't expect us to get any more abilities in the expansion. And if we do get new abilities, they're still going to have to remain somewhat similar. The ultimate fear is that jobs are going to outshine each other to the point where they just get completely excluded. Paladin ran into this issue. Machinist ran into this issue. Summoner, to some degree, ran into this issue. What's another one? Monk ran into that issue. And that's why sometimes making them that vastly different, as long as they play different and they feel different, but they can still fulfill the same duty, that seems to be the most important thing. So I don't think Dark Knight and Paladin are similar enough to the point where they need any vast changes, but I do think Dark Knight's niche of its dark arts thing is not enough. I think Paladin fills its niche. I think Warrior fills its niche. I think Dark Knight still needs to explore a little bit. I just don't expect us to get any new abilities when it comes to the expansion. Alright, next question. Hey, Haparino, not my first question, but my first for a long time. Nice, my man. So I left 14 just before 3.1 due to personal situations which were affecting my enjoyment and ability to play fully. Respectable reason to leave. Don't ever feel bad about that. I'm now in a situation where I'm looking to return in the next few weeks to a month. While I'm looking forward to returning, I am feeling intimidated by what I potentially have to do. This is a normal thing. It happens in every MMO. People worry about this. This is an easy game to catch up in. Always remember that this is an easy game to catch up in. You just got to put some time into it. Are you able to give me a rundown of things I must do? Main story, and that's it. That's it. Fuck it. Main story. That's it. And then you look at the patch notes. If there's any features that you haven't unlocked, like new dungeons, that's another thing you have to do. All the new dungeons, not many of them are part of the main story, so that's one thing to keep in mind. The hard mode versions of Primals, like, that's it. You really don't need to do all that much, and if you just take a quick jog at the patch notes, especially because 3.1 didn't add that many gates, the 3.1 story was really the only one. As long as you just read quickly the 3.1, 3.2 patch notes, you should be able to get an idea of the few things you need to do in order to catch up. Hey, Happy! First time asker here. So with patch 3.2 out, I've been testing out the new tank changes. My main is Warrior. I'm happy with the vitality changes for tanks, now that we aren't last on strength accessories. Now, but I feel that the Vit strength scaling is not right. Now we have so much HP, our Storm's Path to Inner Beast Restoration is too low for our current HP values. I understand what that means. Lower damage equals lower self-healing. I also did an enmity test, and I had a 210 Dragon go all on bosses. I started in Defiance and used Bloodbath, then Tomahawk for pull. I then used Berserk and Internal Release and Vengeance, and Butcher's Block combo for a maximum enmity generation. I lost aggro to his burst. So my question is, do you think they'll make any adjustment to Warrior? If so, what would you change for it? This doesn't sound right. First of all, something's not right about this. You Tomahawk for your pull. You should then... You're never going to pop all three of those. You're never going to pop all three of those at once. Also, if you're in Defiance, it sounds like you also didn't pull with Unchained. That's a big thing. If you're going to pull in Defiance, you should be using Unchained in your opener. So you don't mention that here. You should have Unchained, then Berserk, Internal Release. Those should all be up in time for that. And then you get to the Butcher's Block, and then there should be a... What's the name of the ability? Brutal Swing? Is that the stun? Brutal Swing? There's no mention of Brutal Swing in here. Yeah, I feels like you're missing things, especially missing, fuck, I just said the name of it. The name of the Unchained. That's the name of the ability. Missing Unchained was definitely a big thing. Something's not right. Tanks don't really have that many enmity issues. I was tanking all day today. I didn't have any issues, even against people with 210 weapons, and me as a 199. The only thing is I couldn't go Deliverance and keep aggro. That I had trouble with, but starting Defiance didn't have any issues. I don't think they're going to make any changes to Warrior. I don't think they need to make any changes to Warrior. It's already the ridiculously most OP job in the game. They definitely don't need any changes. Alright, next question. Sup, bruh? I know you love discussing raid optimization, so here you go. Our static consists of the following: Paladin, Warrior, White Mage, Scholar, Monk, Black Mage, Bard. What would be the best to fill for the second melee slot? Dragoon. Obviously, he can play Dragoon and Nin equally, and has Biss on both, and has no personal preference. He likes both equally. So, that's a tough one. When you have Monk, Black Mage, Bard, it's always a big thing to have to think. I think that Dragoon's personal and raid DPS contributions, I think I'd rather take Dragoon in this case. However, that being said, if you find yourself having enmity issues, like we were just talking about in the question before, then Ninja would be a lot better. Be a much bigger raid DPS increase to have no enmity issues at all. I think in this case I'd take the Dragoon for the Bard synergy, because the Bard-Dragoon synergy is more important than the Ninja-Warrior synergy. And on top of that, while Ninja does have, of course, Trick Attack, the enmity tools aren't direct DPS increases if enmity's not an issue. And Goad, while it's a great tool, and when your Monk would love it, I think you'll just take the Dragoon. I think you'll be okay, because Bards are doing really good on TP now. Monk's not doing much better, but they've always had the same tools, and there's a little bit more downtime in a lot of these fights for Monks, so I think you'll be okay. I think Dragoon. I'm going to say Dragoon for the Bard synergy with this one right here. Alright, so this writer recommended that I read their question before I actually talked about it, and basically what it says in all of these words right here is that they're having trouble keeping up with the learning curve of the new jobs going from A Realm Reborn into Heavensward, which is fair. Bard especially had some issues there. Warrior had an entirely new stance opened up. It's not too uncommon for certain jobs to have very difficult learning curves when it comes to Heavensward. So the big thing is, question one, do you think Square Enix should do anything to ease this learning curve? I think that it's not on the company necessarily to ease the learning curve of a job. It was on them in the first place to design it in such a way that it was introduced slowly, and they did that. They made sure that they introduced you one tool at a time for those 10 levels afterwards. 2 levels at a time, which was a pretty good pace. You could get used to an ability for 2 whole levels before moving on to the next one. And other than that, like, a lot of your recommendations here are just that they have dungeons like normal versus heroic, and they already have that kind of. They have the endgame dungeons, they have the dungeons that you have leveling up, and that's really where it is. I don't think that they can really do much more other than flat out tell you with an in-game tool, hey, this is how you play your job, by the way. And I don't see them doing that. However, I do see that you do have medical conditions, so it's understandable that it would be very rough. But the best thing I can say to do is just, you gotta power through it, man. You can hope that they do it. I don't think they will, though. I think that they want people to use the tools like Stone Sky Sea, like the Hall of Novice, and just talking with friends and exchanging information in order to really ease those learning curves. If you put in some hard time, I think you'll be okay with this one. And number 2, do you have any advice for people like me? In WoW, for example, I can use add-ons to mitigate some of the symptoms, but I can't in 14. You actually can. ACT, while I don't normally recommend it, in this case it seems like a good place to recommend it due to the situation. There are some overlays that you can use with ACT that people have been utilizing recently, and I think that if you use those, you'll probably find things to be a little bit easier. I do some research on ACT and see if there are things there that can help you with the symptoms. So best of luck to you, my friend. Wish I had a better answer, but unfortunately that's all I got. All right, next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. Technical question for you this week. Interesting. I've been very confused about how raid, lore gear, and materia melding is working now. Supposedly, the gear already has cap for main stats. It does. So I'm guessing we can only effectively meld secondary stat materia. Sort of. Effectively is the right word, yes. Also, I'm confused on what exactly it means when the gear says it's not available for advanced melds. Is this applicable only for primary stat materia melding or all materia? Finally, at what point do you think we'll find secondary stat ceilings? I'd hate to meld a bunch of grade 5 materia just to find out I'm putting it on an already capped stat. So when you try to apply materia, it tells you if it will add or not. It literally says, it'll say, like, for example, you try to add a grade 5 crit materia, it will normally say crit plus 12. If it's capped, it'll say in red like crit plus 7 or crit plus 9, because it's letting you know that that materia is not going to be fully effective on the piece of gear you're applying it to. So let me answer these questions one at a time, and I'll actually make a separate video for this altogether. So yes, effectively, you can only meld secondary stat materia on left side gear. In the case of tanks on right side vitality accessories, they'll probably want to meld strength, because strength has the same damage modifier as vitality, a 0.45 attack power modifier. That being said, more vitality is available on gear, so when it comes to arguing vitality accessory versus strength accessory, there's usually enough vitality to offset any of the stat differences that are there. Additionally, you can meld some strength on to get even more attack power. So that's the only case where melding a main stat onto it would probably be useful. As for the, it's not available for advanced melding, that means, so basically, pieces of gear that can be melded, they have a set amount of materia. You can see 1 or 2 slots. Those are guaranteed 100% melds that you can do. On crafted gear, you can actually meld up to a maximum of 5 materia, even though there's only 2 slots, and that's known as forbidden melding or advanced melding. On raid gear, you can't do that. So you can only meld in the slots that are available to you and that you see. If it has 2 slots, that's all you can do. You can't go up to 5 materia on that. As well as secondary stat ceilings, you can actually look at a piece of gear and immediately tell what the stat ceilings are. So gear has a way of doing this. One secondary stat is capped and the other one isn't. So look at the highest value stat on the gear. Like, let's say you have 100 crit and 70 skill speed on a piece of gear. You know that based on the rule that one stat is always going to be capped, that critical hit rate is your cap for all of your major stats except determination. So you now know that because it has 100 crit rate, crit is capped, skill speed caps at 100, accuracy caps at 100, spell speed caps at 100, and accuracy caps at 100. However, determination has a slightly lower cap, usually by a few points. I know on our 220 accessories, it caps at 44, whereas critical hit rate in the example would cap at 46. So determination is a slightly lower cap than the rest. That's how you can actually determine it. I've made a video about that. I may need to make a refresher video for people so they understand a little bit better, but good question. Hopefully it was a good answer for you. Alright, next question. Hey Haps, first time poster, so I have some grade 5 materia. You the fucking man, that's a first time bonus if I've ever seen one. Got a question about the ninja job. Just recently changed to ninja for 3.2, wondering what stats I should focus on. I know crit is a big one, but should I prioritize det over skill speed or skill speed over det? Det over skill speed. Skill speed, unfortunately, for ninjas is not very good. So determination over skill speed, and you should be good. Crit is a huge one, though. Crit is a big one for us. So crit, crit, crit. I have almost 1100 crit. It feels good, man. Alright, next one. Hey, Mr. Happy, second or third time asker, so a big pat on the back for all the good work. There we go. See? I got it. My question is about Scholar's BIS stats. Ariella has Scholar's debt at a huge increase and crit has gone down quite a bit. This seems to be mainly for pure healing DPS numbers, but crit adlos still seem incredibly valuable, plus fairy crit equals more spell speed more often, but this is no longer the case. Scholars really value accuracy over everything, because a lot of scholars in endgame rating will dedicate a lot of time to DPSing. So that is what I would consider the number one stat. Behind that, still crit. I would still consider crit to be the most dominant stat for scholars. And I see your examples here, but just so you know, the accuracy, if you're going to be DPSing a lot, which probably will be if you're doing endgame rating, and after that, crit. Definitely still go down that path. Next question. Hey, Happy. First time posting, so I have a Vortex Tombstone and Inferno Tombstones. Totems. Sorry, 100 of each. I don't need 100 of them. Wait a minute. Are those the 1.0? I don't want 1.0 items. I wanted to know what you think of Power Man 5000 claiming that Phase 2 of Sephiroth's battle music ripped off that one-hit song that came out within the 90s. I saw the story and I've listened to both sides on YouTube and I don't hear it. So, I've listened to that song a lot. I've farmed Sephiroth like 25 hours since the patch. It sounds like the Power Man 5000 song for like 10 seconds. And that's only because it's got a standard drum, it's got a standard drums and standard guitar riff, and he's doing whisper. Like, he's whispering, he's like, what is it like when you pull back the curtain? Like, yeah, if you ever do that style, it's gonna sound like Power Man 5000 when worlds collide. The rest of the song sounds entirely different. It is literally for like 10 seconds. I think that it's a claim to relevancy. They haven't been relevant in a very long time. It's a fucking bullshit. In other words, I think it's a ridiculous claim. They can say, yeah, it sounds like it for like 10 seconds, but the rest of the song doesn't. No, this one part sounds like it, so the whole song's a fucking ripoff, obviously. Alright, we got a ninja question here. Quick ninja question about the magic of 5 GCD and ninjutsus. My opener is Suiton 1. I think I know what that is. Blood for Blood 2, IR Dancing Edge. Kasatsu 1, Trick 2. Wait. Something's not right here. Where's your 3? Oh, you said Dancing Edge for 3 instead of 1, 2. Okay. Wait a minute. 1, 2, Aeolian, Raiton. Okay, so first of all, you didn't use your pot in your opener. If you're going to do Suiton first, you open with Internal Release, then Kasatsu in the first global cooldown between 1 and 2. Second, then you would use your pot, then you would use Blood for Blood, because you don't have your pot open during any of your opener right here. However, the Suiton opener, if you're going to do a Suiton opener, I'd look at Shasta's opener. That'll probably be the one you want to go for. Stick to Raiton also, unless your lag is really, really bad. Dream Within a Dream, Shadowfang, Mug, Mutilate, Trick Attack, Falls Off Fear, Jugular. It's pretty standard, but if you have that security of Duality, Aeolian Edge, and Mutilate both fitting within Trick Attack, you'd probably want to ensure you could get that pot up and just do Duality, Aeolian Edge at the end. Kiss that Mutilate when I try to do Kasatsu to Raiton. Yeah, Australia. Yeah, if you're playing from Australia, I guess it would be pretty rough. You may have to do this as an Australian opener just to make sure that the duality fits. That's respectable. That's an understandable thing to do. Is it worth dropping down to Fuma to guarantee that last Mutilate? Well, I mean, do a quick calculation of what you would lose Raiton versus Fuma. Do you have a foe's Requiem from a Bard? Do you have a Machinist's Hypercharge? Do you not have either of those things? You have to just weigh literally flat potency differences. I think Fuma Shuriken is 240 plus 20% from the thing, so that would be plus 10% from Dancing Edge, so it's an extra 72 potency, so that puts it at 312. So you're talking about 312 potency versus losing 10% on Mutilate. Mutilate, if I'm not mistaken, is 60, and then 30 seconds at... 30 seconds at what, 20 potency each? Is it 30 potency? Yeah. No, it's 360 potency total. So 360 potency, 36 potency. So we're talking about a difference of Raiton being... was it 360, so that makes it a difference of 48. No, it looks like it's still worth it to do the Raiton and lose the Mutilate, just based on the fact that it would be, actually, it would be a little bit more, because it would be 36, it would be 42, so it's a difference between 42, it's a 6 potency difference, if my quick math was correct, so, but it was, it's 6 potency in favor of the Raiton, so I would keep the Raiton, my friend, especially because it's a guaranteed crit Raiton. That makes the multiplier even more so than it is just the base 360 potency, so yeah, I definitely take the Raiton in this case, and hopefully my math there was correct. Fingers crossed. Somebody will probably tell me I was wrong, but I would still take the Raiton. Alright, next question. I think we have 3 questions left, including this one. No, actually it might be 5 questions. 5 questions left, including this one. Hey, Haps, don't have a question. Just an observation. Okay. If you think Box Guy is bad, go to Idleshire. You'll see a guy hanging for his life. I saw this guy. Somebody mentioned this guy to me. I think he was there in the previous patch, too, but he's even more popular now. He's been hanging there for a long fucking time. So, maybe I should do a video about this guy. Alright, next question. Hey, Happy, hey, I'm brand new to the Dream Network and this forum, but I'm a long-time watcher of your Monday videos as well as State of the Realm. Hey, thank you for the long-time support. As such, I'm fully aware that I'm supposed to trade you something for your opinion, so here, you're not supposed to do it. Just if you're going to, make it something good. So here I have a full set of new dyed high elegant tank gear. Great, I was just playing my warrior today. That makes it useful. I get wordy, so I'll throw in a TLDR. Do you know who you're talking to about wordy? Do you know? Do you even know whose YouTube videos you're watching? I'm the master of wordy. Call me Mr. Wordy. Okay, yeah, this is real long. I see what it's about, though. Necromancers are an amazing and underused job. Please explain why you think we won't get them in 14 as a result of the Chinese taboo. I don't even think it's because of the Chinese taboo. I just don't think Necromancer really fits. It's such a forbidden art. I can't ever see it being an acceptable thing in Eorzea. We do our best to make sure Necromancers exist nowhere, and that any sort of disruption of the dead is considered disrespectful. In Chinese, it's taboo, but... almost said, like I said, Naboo from fucking Star Wars. It's taboo in China, but, like, it's still disrespectful no matter where you go. And while it's a really good RPG idea, I just don't see it happening just because it's literally a class based entirely on summoning skeletons and shit. And I don't think we can have a class that's just about summoning skeletons and shit, and dark magic and whatnot. We can have dark magic, I don't think Necromancer is where you'll see it. I think we'll stick to Dark Knight for that one. Alright, next question. Yes, 3 questions. 2 questions? 3 questions. I was right. It was 5 questions left. All right, let's get to this one. Hey, Happy, long-time viewer, first-time poster, so as first-time bonus, have a high-capacity tombstone with 3 tokens to get you started on your lore weapon. Hey, that's my man right there. So my question is there any Final Fantasy locations from previous games you'd like to see put in Eorzea, such as what they did with the Legacy of Allied questline? An idea I had the other day was they put the Primal Tonberry, such as Dark Tonberry, or properly done Odin Trial, put into the Cetra Ruins from 8, which could work if we get to Alamigo in 4.0. Keep up the good work. I'm not a big fan of seeing specific instances of locations being taken from other games. Sometimes it's okay, like the Seventh Heaven exists in Mordona. We have the Crystal Tower questline, which we knew going in. They said, yes, it will follow the Final Fantasy III story. It is an homage to Final Fantasy III. That's perfectly acceptable. I don't like the idea of just stealing locations, however, from other games and just using them without any real reason to do so. So I'm kind of on the fence. I don't really have a place I'd like to see. Anti-Tower is kind of like Ibsen's Castle, so I'll be happy with that one. Alright, next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. I have watched all your shows and haven't posted before, but recently you did a reaction video to the first time seeing the 3.2 trailer. I thought it was pretty interesting to see something different from your channel. Anyway, you were talking about Fine Bros, please. God damn it. So I looked up to see what the joke was all about. I found out H3H Productions also make a reaction video to them, and his channel is pretty big with 1 million subscribers. Anyways, get to my question. This is not 14 related, but is Ethan from H3H Production your long-lost brother? Did you ever get that comment that you guys look very like... Actually, now that you mention it, I think somebody else said that recently, too, when I said the Fine Brothers thing. I think there's actually a comment on that reaction video that says the exact same thing. Maybe it was you. It might have been you. Even down to the shape of the head and how you guys have the same beard. We'll ever do a collab. If he wants to, sure, why not? I'll do a collab with H3H Productions. He's not my long-lost brother. I can guarantee you he's not my long-lost brother. But I think that's funny that that's now come up 2 times. That was pretty funny. Thank you. That was a pretty funny question. That made me laugh. Alright, and anyway, on to the last question for the week. Hey, Happy, no bonus this time, so take a black copper guild. That's forfeit? That's fraud. What the fuck is forfeit? I was asked a few days before 3.2 if I'd like to help form a static, to which I said yes, since the person was in my free company. We're only at 4 members, but I'm worried about whether or not the other players are as committed as I am to raiding. None of them seem to be on as much as I am, and nobody seems to be looking for members. I'm starting to look for alternative offers, but I'm not sure how to break to the group that I've joined a different group, if I do find it one to join. Should I be more patient? If they're literally doing nothing and just like, when he gets it done, we'll log in. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. There's obviously, if you have like 6 or 7 members, you can't expect everyone to be on the lookout. You can expect that to maybe be 2 people. But if another person asks you, so let's say you have 4 people. If one of those 4 people is helping you, I'd say be patient. If one of them asked you, you started putting it together, and then all 3 of them are doing nothing, I'd say fuck it, join another group. That's my honest opinion when it comes to this. Hopefully it was the right answer for you. Thank you for watching this video, guys. It's been a great week. Hopefully we can continue to have a good week. Remember, we're working towards 1,000 subs over on Twitch. So if you guys can come by and show your love, show your support as often as possible. We will not actually be live on Monday this week, though. So while you're seeing this, I actually won't be live. We'll be apartment hunting over in San Diego, a whale's vagina. Anyway, on that note, here are the videos from the start of the video. Again, because I had to say video twice there. Be sure to check them out, like, favorite, subscribe, and share. You guys know the whole spiel. And be on the lookout for those sponsored Blatant Soul things coming later this week. We have streams, we have videos. If it makes you unhappy, it's like, whatever. I enjoy Blatant Soul. I didn't want to sponsor me for videos because I enjoy it. Fuck it, right? Like, I'm having fun. As long as I'm having fun, you guys should be having fun. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. Be on the lookout for Stay of the Realm this week. We're going to be doing lore spoilers. And on that note, everyone, I'll see you in the next one. And until then, take care.